Hi, I'm Chris from Inside the Recording Studio podcast. In last week's episode, Jody and I talked about gear acquisition syndrome, where you basically keep buying new gear even though you don't really need it. In the plugin world, this can lead to long lists of plugins in our DAW, and while having a lot of options is generally a good thing, it can lead to almost option paralysis. We have so many choices that we don't pick one, and we just slow down our workflow. In this video, I'd like to give you a tip how I deal with that using Logic's plugin manager. Let's take a look. So let's take a look at my plugin folder. Here we are in Logic, and if I go down here, I have the Logic factory installed plugins that are divided up by category here. I also have a list of all the units and audio units, with all the manufacturers and everything that's installed on my system. But what we also have here on top of the list, we have these categories. And these categories are customizable. Logic installs these by default, but you can edit them. And how do we do that? Let's go up to the plugin manager and take a look. We're going to go Logic, Preferences, Plugin Manager, and we end up with this window. Now we have all the manufacturers here on the bottom that are installed on my system, and we have these folders here again. So while these are installed by default, we can, like I said, customize them. So I have a folder here that I've created for drums, where I've placed my drum software that I use. I have created one for samplers. I've also edited the reverb ones, were just my favorite reverbs that I like to use. Same with delay and dynamics and so on and so forth. You can see that here on top. I've also created two other ones where I have my analog emulation plugins that are placed in here. And I also have one that I've created for my guitar and bass emulations that I frequently use. So how do we edit these? Well, we can just simply go in here and delete anything that I select here. We can just go ahead and delete it. This is an Apple thing. I can delete that and it's no longer be part of that. It's still installed on my system, but it's just not going to be present in that folder. Now, if we want to add a folder to this, let's say that we want to create one that is just for our favorites that we go to all the time, we can create that. So I go up to this plus sign. I'm going to call this Inside the Recording Studio, like so. And to place plugins into this, I simply select the manufacturer, go choose the plugin, and drag it into there. It's not moved from any other list, it's just added to this folder right here. Let's do another one from perhaps Eventide. I love the black hole reverb, so let's place that in there as well. I can go through and do this with all my plugins and create a much more effective way of finding my plugins. Let's take a look what happens when I click Done. Now, if I go into my plugin list again, we see this new folder inside the recording studio with the two plugins that I placed in there. While this tip has been specifically geared toward Logic's plugin manager, I'm sure most DAWs have a very similar way that you can manage your plugin folders. Give it a try. It's not going to remove or get rid of your gear acquisition syndrome, but maybe it'll help your workflow a little bit and not suffer so much from that option paralysis. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.